Hello students from 1D or maybe students from other classes, I'm Mr. Zhong here. Now this video is going to introduce some basics of energy. Due to the long class suspension period, we decided to move to this chapter first before we go back to the discussion on cells and reproduction and DNA. We know that it is a very long class suspension period. I hope that you make good use of the time. Here, watching this video will be one of the good choice to make good use of your time. As I mentioned, many things in this chapter you should have learned this in primary school. Now, I do hope that you pre-read the relevant chapter before you watch the video. Now, I give you a chance to pause or stop the video and pre-read the chapter first. If you pre-read the chapter, very good, you're allowed to move on. Our first question will be, what is meant by the term energy? Actually, this is a very difficult question to answer. Usually in our daily life, when we talk about energy, I think most of you will think about power, a measure of power. Just imagine in a movie clip, usually the one with higher power will emit a larger amount of energy and the character may be stronger. When we come to scientists, what is meant by energy? Now, it's a very complicated explanation here. Here will be the explanation of what is meant by energy. Of course, it's an extension, it's not required in Form 1 integrated science. What is meant by energy in physics? 物理學 physics, you have learned this term. Energy is a quantitative property that can be transferred to the object to perform work on or heat the object. Now, make this sentence easier for Form 1 students to understand. Energy is something. It's actually something. The amount of energy can be measured. You know, the amount should be large amount or small amount. The energy can be used to perform something we call work. Actually, what's meant by work? I'm going to give you some examples. They should be common in your daily life. For example, going upstairs, lifting up an object, or cooking a piece of beef. Now, all these are examples of work or heating up an object. To do all these processes, to complete all these processes, they require energy. Actually, energy is a very abstract concept, but you know that energy is very important to all living things. We need energy to do many processes, to complete many processes. For example, for me to talk here, and for you to survive, you need energy. The plants also need energy to grow, and also all other living things, they also need energy to grow. And all the electrical appliances, 電器, they need energy to perform their work. And you know that the vehicles, they must need energy to move. For scientists, they found that there are some basic forms of energy. Now I repeat, there are some basic forms of energy, different ways for energy to exist. 好多唔同能量嘅存在嘅方式. Now, what are those basic forms of energy? In Form 1 level, you'll learn 7 basic forms of energy. Now, what are they? I want you to pause the video and take out a piece of paper to try to list them out. If you are finished, you can continue watching this video. Now, I give you about 10 seconds before I go to the next slide. Pause the video now. Can you get these 7 forms of energy? Now, these are the 7 basic forms of energy. The scientists, they found that they are the basic forms. Now, although the term is called something energy, in our daily language, we have similar terms, but they are not the basic forms. Now, for example, in our daily language, we come across with the term solar energy, 太陽能, solar energy. And also we'll come across the term nuclear energy, 核能, nuclear energy. Now, although they both end with the word energy, they are not the basic forms of energy. Scientists define that there are only 7 basic forms of energy. Now put them into these 3 vertical columns. 左、中、右, 3 different groups. They have some similarities. I put them with a reason I will ask you later on. I will give you some of the introduction of the energy before I ask you the reason for putting them into these 3 different groups. The first energy I'm going to introduce, sound energy, 聲能. Now, of course, you know that there are some sound, they will carry some energy. How to produce sound energy? When an object, they do something, they will produce sound energy. You should have learned this in primary school. Now, I'll give you some hints. A guitar and someone singing in the karaoke room. What's so common for them to produce sound? The guitar, the string vibrates. 吉他嘅弦線會震動. And try to do the following experiment. If you want to say something or you're going to sing, try to use your hand to touch here, your neck. You'll feel something happening. It is you can feel the vibration of your throat. 你個喉嚨、你個聲帶嗰啲位會震動. Now, actually, for sound energy to be produced, it can be produced when an object vibrates, 震動. Now, I want you to pay attention to the word vibrates. 呢個解震動. In Chinese, this is translation. Now, some of the students, when they go to the examination, they will write this term instead, shakes. Now, this is very different. Shakes, in Chinese, strictly speaking, it means 搖動. 唔係話搖嘅意思，係會震嘅意思先得. So please pay attention to the word. We use the term vibrates, or there are some vibration to produce the sound. The second one, light energy. Now, I don't have many explanation here because light is actually a form of energy. You can have many sources of light energy. The sun, some of the insects, they produce the light. This one is called a firefly, 螢火蟲. Actually, the light energy inside is produced by some of the bacteria inside the body of these fireflies. And also many electrical appliances such as a TV, the lamp, the projector, the mobile phone, the smartphone, they produce the light energy. The third one I'm going to introduce is called thermal energy. Now in Chinese it's called 熱能. Of course, you can feel it again. When you feel something is hot, feel 到有熱的話, you know that there's some energy is giving out. Again, we have many sources of thermal energy, such as the sun, and many electrical appliances, such as the iron, and also the stoves, the fire. They will give you thermal energy. Now, these are the sources of thermal energy. This term, thermal, will be a little bit strange to all of you. Now, you are studying the new syllabus. Previously, the students will learn this term instead, or is printed in some of the older books called heat energy. 以前用呢個 term heat energy, but nowadays you would use the term thermal energy instead, because in senior form there are some kinds of the differences between the term thermal and heat. The Chinese term of thermal energy is called 熱能. You know that when something is hot, they carry energy. Now, I want to ask this to you. We have thermal energy with heat energy, 中文叫熱能. 咁有冇凍能或者係冷能呢? Do we have cold energy? Now, what do you think about this? Do we really have cold energy? To answer this, I give you some reference here. Actually, this is Form 4 level if you study physics. What is meant by heat energy for Form 4 students or thermal energy for Form 1 students? Actually, this is the energy transfer from an object with higher temperature to a lower temperature. Now, I will give you this daily life example. This is a very common daily life example. If you touch a piece of ice, you will feel cold. It seems that the ice is drawing the power from you, drawing some energy from you. Now, why does this happen? Your body temperature is around 37 degrees Celsius. How about the ice? The ice will have the temperature about 0 degrees Celsius or below. Depends on whether it's melting. If it is a melting ice, the temperature will be around 0 degrees Celsius. Now the reason is because your body temperature is having a higher temperature than the ice. There will be thermal energy transferred from your body to the ice in order to melt the ice. The direction of the energy transfer is from your body to the ice. That's why you feel cold. Actually, the meaning of cold is you're losing energy to other object. Now that's why we don't have something called cold energy. There's no power for any cold object. I should say they should have a lower thermal energy instead, depends on the temperature. If some object they have a higher temperature, they carries more thermal energy. To conclude, we don't have any cold energy. 我哋冇凍能嘅，凍嘅能量講緊。But for the object with lower temperature, they have smaller amounts of thermal energy. Now, just like in this example, there are two different cups of tea. They have the same mass. Which one gives out more thermal energy? That will be the one with higher temperature. They will give out more thermal energy. The next form of energy I'm going to introduce to you is called chemical energy. In Cantonese, we call it 化學能. It's very abstract, so I use this sentence to describe chemical energy instead. What is chemical energy? It is a storage form of energy. 一種能量儲存嘅方式 is a storage form of energy inside any substances. 喺啲物質入邊儲存能量嘅方式。Now, these substances, the chemical energy inside can be converted into other energy forms through some different processes. We will explain it in detail later on. Now, I'll give you some more examples of the storage form. Just like the food, they store chemical energy. The fuel, maybe the fuel for just like petrol, 汽油, is being put in the car, or batteries. They store chemical energy. Now for these batteries, actually we call them chemical cells, 叫化學電池. If you go to have a barbecue, you will burn the charcoal. The chemical energy inside charcoal will be released as the heat energy, I should say the thermal energy of the fire, and also the light energy given out to cook the food. For the food, and nowadays the Hong Kong we have food labeling, we can know the energy content. These are referring to the chemical energy stored in the food, and also chemical energy inside the batteries. They will be converted to electrical energies later on to power up the electrical appliances in the cars. Now this will be learned in Form 4 to Form 5 if you study chemistry. 化學電池. We will learn this in chemistry. Actually, if you cut a piece of battery, you will see some of the chemicals inside. Actually, the chemical energy are stored inside the substances inside the battery. If you have some interest in this area, you can search this YouTube video, what's inside a 9-volt battery. Now, the person inside this video, he will try to cut a piece of battery, but please don't try this at home. This video do it for you. And you see there some chemicals, some substance stored inside a battery to store the chemical energy to be released, to be used as electrical energy in the electrical appliances. Next one, I'm going to introduce potential energy. I quote the search result from dictionary, online dictionary, of course. Potential, this term called 潛力, 潛能. Now, I do think this term is a better description of the form of energy, 係潛在嘅能量, but the official name is called 勢能. Potential energy is also a storage form of energy, 儲存嘅方式. Now, there are actually many different kinds of potential energy. Here will be two typical examples for an object to gain potential energy. The first example you can gain potential energy is this case. Every time when you need to walk upstairs to integrated science laboratory, you will feel tired. You need to breathe heavily. Why? The reason is when you go upstairs, actually you're doing something to oppose your weight. The earth is pulling you downwards to the ground. In Kinetic, we call it 地心吸力. But in the science, we call this is your weight. Your foot needs to have some force to push you up. You are opposing your weight. 你隻腳硬上去係抵抗緊地球向你吸你向下嘅地心吸力. Now, in this case, you are actually gaining potential energy. Your foot is doing some work. Your foot is consuming energy to push you upwards. The first case when an object gains potential energy is when it rises to a higher position. Now, give you a reference here. For this case, if it goes to a high position, it gains potential energy. The energy here is called gravitational energy. 將一樣物件拎高嘅話，會得到嘅勢能 potential energy 係屬於呢種 gravitational potential energy because you are performing work to oppose the weight, oppose the gravity. 你要做啲嘢抵抗地球向吸你向下嘅地心吸力。呢度你所消耗、你所用咗嘅 energy 就係變成 potential energy 儲喺你嘅身上。Okay, how about the second case? Second case is about this spring. Usually for the spring, 彈簧, if you compress it, you feel that the spring is doing something to oppose your action. The reason is if you press it, you are actually transferring some energy to store inside the spring. This is the second case, when some of the object when being stretched or compressed, 拉長, 壓縮, or even for some cases is if it is being bent, they store some energy inside. If you release it, then it will return to original position. 你一放手彈弓會彈翻開嘅係咪？ Now this case, I give you a reference, is not requiring Form 1, but is called elastic potential energy. 關乎彈性儲喺佢身上嘅 energy 就係個彈性勢能。我重複多一次，當你撳佢落去嘅時候，其實 you have some energy stored inside the spring. 呢啲儲咗 energy, the energy stored inside the spring, it is elastic potential energy. Another very typical example will be using a boat. You need to pull the arrow backwards. Actually, some of the energy is stored inside the string of the boat. The next form of energy is called electrical energy. Chinese term 電能. Now, the thing is very straightforward. It is the energy carried by electricity. Now you know the power of electrical energy, especially in the movie clips. You know Thor, 雷神 Thor, is use the energy, electrical energy in the battle. Of course, I hope that we have four to power up all the electrical appliances in the world. However, in daily life, the electrical energy being supplied is coming from the power station. Later on, we'll learn about power station, how can it generate electricity. The electrical energy can be transferred to your home through the power cables. We'll talk about this later on. And the electrical energy, of course, you know that they can power many electrical appliances to perform different tasks. A final form of energy is called kinetic energy, 动能. You know that from the Chinese term 动能, 动, that means the thing carried by the moving objects, the energy carried by moving objects. It seems that very easy. However, I would like to ask you the following question. Usually, for the traffic accidents involving trucks or lorries, they have high casualties than those involving private cars. 即係話貨車撞車嘅時候嘅傷亡，通常係勁過私家車撞車嘅。Why? I'll give you around 10 seconds to think about the answer. To illustrate the power of trucks and lorries, I put the following clips here from the TV drama. I need to make a declaration here is they are just special effects. They are not the actual accident video. But 以下內容可能令人情緒不安，敬請留意。講一次 ，they are just special effects. They are just special effects. First is about from TVB. 見到姚子羚俾車撞到飛起嘅呢條片。Another one is from Taiwan. 夜市人生好出名嘅呢條片。個人係俾個貨車撞到飛起咗嘅。係啊。If there are really true accidents here, this is not surprising as the kinetic energy carried by the car is very large. Actually, what I want you to tell you that is about kinetic energy. If the moving object they have a greater mass, they carry a larger amount of kinetic energy. Now I'll give you this example. A bus and a private car. If they move at the same speed, which one has a more kinetic energy? Of course, the answer with the bus, because it has a greater mass than the private car. Here will be a reference to you. Now this is Form 4 level, Physics Form 4 level. The kinetic energy, the amount can be calculated by this formula, 1/2 times the mass of an object in kg and the speed of an object in meters per second. Here shows you that if they have the same speed, if some object they have a greater mass, they have a greater kinetic energy. Now go back to this PowerPoint slide. What is the reason I put them in these three vertical columns? Why I put this energy into these three groups? Now I want you to pause the video again and think about why. What is the reason I put them in these three different groups? Now give you 5 seconds to think about this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Look at the energy here, the energy forms here, sound energy, light energy, thermal energy. What's so common to these three forms of energy? Usually, they are released by an object, 釋放出嚟嘅 energy. Now how about these two, chemical energy and potential energy? It refers to my video PowerPoint slide before. You find that I use the term store, 儲存嘅方式. They are the forms that store in the object. And finally, electrical and kinetic energy. Usually they are not given out. Usually they are not stored in the object, but they carry by an object. Come here. Let's see. Light energy. For example, light as a lamp is being given out. Thermal energy is being given out. Sound energy is being given out. These are the energy released by an object. We usually say they are given out. How about the next one? Chemical and potential energy. They store inside the food, they store inside the battery, store inside the bowl, store inside the spring. We usually use the term they store in some object. I go back to this slide again. The kinetic energy. They are the kinetic energy of something. The energy of something. Now, I'm not going to show you the case for electrical energy. Now, hope you can distinguish different groups of energy. Now, before I move to the next part, I have the equation here. How can we measure the amounts of energy? Now, give you the formula. That means we can use a calculator to get the amounts of energy. We calculate it. Yes. In Form 4, Form 5, Form 6 physics, we do this a lot. How to calculate, how to know the amounts of energy. Now here will be the next part, and I should say the final part about the energy is units of energy. Now there are two common units of energy. I hope you to pause the video again. Think about what you read before and go back to your video. Try to pause the video if you have not pre-read the relevant content. Now I'll introduce the first units of energy to you. Now I'm not sure you know this guy. This is called Lou Gawker. He's a famous engineer. He used his knowledge in physics and energy to solve many cases in traffic accidents and other tests. Usually, the public media will invite him to try to calculate the test some of the power of this weapon. 東張西望或者係其他電視講嘅呢個叫象牙籤弩炮，仲有一個叫做穿雲箭。Now, these usually in the interview, he will mention the amount of energy. He call it 幾多焦耳 ，OK 幾多焦耳。Now, 焦耳 is actually a unit of energy. For scientists, they use the term 焦耳 as a unit for measuring energy. Now, it has a symbol, it's called J. For scientists, sometimes we need to measure larger amounts of energy, just like kg, kilogram, and gram. We can use kilojoule to measure larger amounts of energy. Now, I give you a question here. You know that kilojoule, kilo is representing some numbers. How many joules is 1 kilojoule? Got it? It is actually 1,000. 1,000 joule, that means 1 kilojoule. Just like 1 kg is equals to 1,000 gram here. How about the next unit of energy? You will learn this in daily life, especially for the dietitian or nutritionist. They will mention the term calorie. OK, calorie. 話食好多嘢好多卡路里，食一碟嘅咁樣嘅炒麵有幾多個卡路里？幾多卡？ This is a unit used to measure the energy in food. Calorie is not the official name. It is just called car in Chinese, and in English called calorie. So people use the pronunciation to say as calorie. So in English is called calorie. The symbol we use cal as a symbol of calorie, usually for measuring energy value in food. But just like joule and kilojoule, if you want to measure the larger amount of energy, we use kilocalorie. In the symbol, it's called kcal. How many calorie is there in 1 kcal? Very simple, right? 1,000. again. Now this is a very extra information. It's not expected in Form 1, but just something for your interest is what is mean by 1 calorie. 一個 calorie 即係幾多啊？Actually, this is the energy required to heat up 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. 1 gram 水升1個 degree Celsius 攝氏度所需要 energy 就叫1個 calorie 啦，1 calorie. So if you learn physics in Form 4, you will find that this equals to 4.2 joule, but this is not required for Form 1. This is just an extra information to all of you. Here will be the last part of this video. Now refer to the slide I showed previously. We have the food labeling in Hong Kong. The food labeling, you know that there are different components in food such as protein, 蛋白質, such as fat, 脂肪, and carbohydrates, 碳水化合物. Now some of them, actually they have zero energy value. Why they? And why they have zero energy value? Now some of the food components, you learn this in primary school but not shown in the food labeling, such as the minerals such as calcium here, vitamin B6, B1, B2, etc. You may search on the internet why some of them they have zero energy value. Why? Okay, send me your answer and I may offer you a small prize to honor for your active learning activity, honor your active learning, I should say, altitude. Alright, so please finish the Google form. I have some questions extra from the checkpoints of a textbook. Alright, we will have another video maybe in March to move on. Okay, see you later.